Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Griefdrums, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing some huge changes that are on the way as part of Year 4 Season 1. Now, I want to start off with a bit of an apology. If my audio quality isn't the best, that's because I'm currently in a hotel room in Montreal, and subsequently, I haven't got all of my gear or my microphones and stuff with me. I'm having to use my laptop, and I'm currently set up under a table with pillows and everything just to try and dampen sound, so I do apologise straight off the bat if it isn't the quality that you're used to. Nevertheless, we're going to get straight into these. Some of these changes are huge, as I said, and ones that I honestly didn't expect coming, and some that I don't really agree with. But nevertheless, let's just go ahead and take a look at it. So a little bit earlier on, the designer's notes were actually released, and they pretty much sum up what is going to be coming in Year 4 Season 1. Whilst the details aren't phenomenal for all of them, the big hitters have got to be the ones like this. Ash will be losing the ACOG from her R4C. Now, I know people like Bikini Body are going to be extremely happy about this. They've been lobbying this for the longest time. It's something that I'm not 100% with. I don't think this is going to have a massive effect on the pick rate of Ash. People don't really pick her for the ACOG, but more for the simplicity of the operator than anything. The group stages of the Invitational have been a prime example of this. A lot of people are running Ash, and they're not all taking an ACOG. Most are actually running her with a holo, so I don't see what impact this is actually going to have. Nevertheless, it may deter some people, and with Ash's win delta and pick rate being as high as it is, it's probably a move in the right direction, but it's one that I can't really see changing a massive amount. On the other side of the coin, if her R4C is in fact losing the ACOG, as they've said, the G36C may become more viable and more of an option in some people's eyes. It is a very good weapon, but it's one of those that people wouldn't take over the R4C just because, you know, it's not quite as good. Having a black ice on the G36, I'm pretty happy about this, so I don't really mind. It's one of those things that, you know, same with Jaeger and Bandit. I wasn't too keen on that decision to remove their ACOGs, but it's something that the community will quite quickly get around and move on, if that makes sense. The next biggest change we're going to see as part of Year 4 Season 1 is probably going to be Dakaibi. After 18 seconds, the phone calls from Dakaibi are now going to hang up on their own. They won't just be ringing for the rest of the game. You will very quickly get to the 18-second mark, and if you haven't already answered the phone, it is just going to stop ringing. This is definitely a positive move, as sometimes there are those occasions in which you can't quite get to the phone. 18 seconds does seem quite a long time though. I think a lot of people will have answered it by this point. But one of the really positive changes has got to be how Dakaibi interacts with mute jammers. Now, we all know that if you are within range of a mute jammer when Dakaibi tries to call, it doesn't actually work and your phone doesn't go off. And this is a really, really positive thing. But something that's going to buff mute even further is now, if you walk into range of a mute jammer while your phone is going off, it will just stop. It pretty much just hangs up the phone call, which is a really, really cool idea and something that I'm really, really pleased with. They have stipulated that the goal with these changes is to reduce the defender's frustration when playing against Dakaibi by introducing additional options for countering her logic bomb, and it'll offer more choice for defenders. Now, as we've seen from this particular invitational group stages, Fabian in particular has been running Dakaibi a lot. She is a very strong operator. She's very, very powerful for the information game, and she can just be a frustration. So this is going to buff Mute even further, which I'm quite happy about, but it's definitely going to be a welcome change. Next up is going to be Maverick. The time to swap between his blowtorch and the weapons has actually been increased. So his ability to quietly make a hole in a reinforced wall and then change to his primary weapon and just snap through and shoot people is seen as a bit too powerful. So they're increasing the amount of time it takes to swap between the blowtorch and his weapon. They did mention that they investigated making the sound louder of the blowtorch, but that's going to require audio work that they cannot complete right now. However, it is in the backlog of potential future changes, but this kind of just goes to highlight that perhaps the development team isn't quite big enough for the sheer volume of work that they've got on. Obviously, we've seen introductions of, well, I suppose it's been there for a long time, the Cavero Bug that is currently doing the rounds at the minute now that it's been brought to the foreground, in which the perspective that Cavero gets using Silent Step is very, very different to that everyone else will see. So she's very good at hiding behind anything that's pretty much waist height. Things like that, once they're known about, they're going to need to be worked on. So that does move part of the development team away from other things that we may have been potentially, going to be seeing. Next up, this is a really nice change and one that I am super, super hyped about. Capital, they are increasing the area of effect size of his asphyxiation bolts. This in turn means that they're going to be reducing the damage per tick from 19 to 12. So it will take a little longer to burn your enemies to death, but nevertheless, through the introduction of a new propagation system that will make the area of effect not go through objects, they're going to be increasing the size of the asphyxiation bolts and how it works. So he's going to work very well as sort of area denial, and there's several aspects of this which are going to be really, really interesting. He's probably going to see a bit more of a buff for places like border when you're attacking armory lockers. That half wall, he's going to easily be able to burn out anyone that's behind there. And the other really cool feature about this is it's going to cross varying heights as well. So if you hit something up above, it's actually going to cascade down towards the floor as well, as shown by this little video here. We're also going to see other changes to operators like Clash. The muzzle brake on the machine pistol is going to be completely removed. You're not going to have the option to use that anymore, which kind of makes sense because now that her machine pistol is fully automatic, there's no situation in which you would ever use a muzzle brake. Legion is also going to see a change in which his goo mines, the damage per tick is going to be reduced from 8 to 4, just because they believe he's too strong. Again, this is one of those things that I can't really argue with. I love Legion. I think he's a really, really strong operator. And as frustrating as it is, I do understand the logic behind this. So yeah, it's a welcome change. Breaching charges are also going to be seeing a change. The deployment animation is going to be a lot faster. The damage on the attacker side is reduced from 150 to 50. The area of effect on the defender side, however, is going to be increased. With this in mind though, the lethal damage area of effect on the defender side is going to be reduced. In a nutshell, they wanted to make it so that the breaching charge was safer and just more comfortable for the attackers to use. So speeding up the animation is definitely going to assist with this, but to be honest, I think it's the audio levels that are the biggest problem. 9 times out of 10 you can hear someone placing a breaching charge, so it's going to be interesting to see how this works with the increased animation speed. Shield operators in general are another thing the devs are looking at. They are aware that the current playstyle for ballistic shields heavily favours direct gunfights. So as a result of this, they're looking at slowing down the aim down sight speed. And with Blitz being one of the most frustrating operators to play against, they are looking at additional ways to, to alleviate how frustrating he is. They are exploring things like the cooldown of his ability, tweaking how the flashes are detected and stuff like that, but it kind of leads back to a lack of staff on the development team because they just don't have the time right now because of the fact that it's going to take extensive audio and code work. Therefore, they're going to put it on the backlog to look into for the future. There are also mentions of Lion and how his rework is going to be announced at the 6th Invitational. They do mention Glaz and how they want to bring it back to the original intention of being able to lock down a single angle or corridor without becoming a really strong entry fragger. But other than that, that's about it. Ash's change is going to be the biggest one by a country mile. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this though. Is this something you agree with or disagree with? On the whole, what do you think of these patch notes? Again, I do apologise for the audio quality of this. I have got some other things in the works. But nevertheless, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider hitting that thumbs up. If you don't already, make sure to subscribe. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay reckless and relentless.